Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Live with Dr. Dawn. I'm your host, Dr. Dawn Camila Brown, double board certified child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist. I'm a two-time best-selling author, podcaster, public speaker, media influencer. I'm the sole practitioner of ADT Wellness Center in Houston, Texas, with a thriving virtual presence. And next month, I will be starting another company, and I thank everyone for wishing me all the well wishes, the prayers, the kindness of words. Thank you so much for supporting me through this initiative. So tonight we have another Live with Dr. Dawn Educators Roundtable. I've been waiting all week for this one, you all. But before we get started, please share this. Share this with at least 2-3 people you know. Let them know that now is Live with Dr. Dawn. Have them come into the virtual space because listen, we are about to have a wonderful discussion or debate about, you all know what's going on, right? Back to school. So everyone is impacted by this. You know, the parents, children, students, teachers, staff. Listen, this is a very hot topic, and this is a very important topic that we definitely need to discuss. And so before I do, I want you to, again, share this with everyone you know. Let me see who's in the room. Go ahead and let me know that you're here, and so we can get started. But I would like to actually thank Miss Sarita Coleman. Thank you, Miss Sarita. Thank you so much for your recommendations, if you will, for giving us the platform tonight. So Sarita, shout out to you. If you are here, thank you so much. Sarita is my wonderful friend, good friend, and Thor, love her to death. And so she is actually the one that's responsible for tonight's show. So thank you so much, Sarita. Hi, Rashida. Thanks so much for joining. All right, y'all. So we are going to get started. So we have 2 individuals here in the room. We're going to hopefully hope that the third actually comes in, Dr. Chris. But I want to go ahead and bring on the screen Miss Letitia Taylor Robinson is here with us tonight. Hi, Letitia. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am well. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Oh, sure. No problem.
And we're also going to bring in LaBrandon. Hi, LaBrandon. What's going on?
Nothing much. How are y'all doing tonight?
Great.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for joining the platform tonight. We're going to go ahead and get these names up on the screen, the names you all chosen. So Mr. LaBrandon, you can find him at Mr. Dr. LB because he is in school for his doctorate. Congratulations.
Man, listen. Thank you. They putting it on you, boy.
I know that's right. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yes, thoughts and prayers with you during your journey. And you're also with a new school system as well. So congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Yes. So I actually want to start with you, Letitia, and then LaBrandon. Can you all just give some background information about yourself? A fun fact. Let's talk about that. A fun fact.
Okay. Well, I'm Letitia Taylor Robinson. I'm that person that has always worked with children. I tried working at McDonald's once when I was younger. did not work. But it was just something about the joy of working with kids. And I started off working at a daycare when I would come home from school in the summers. And then when I went back to U of H, I'm like, why don't you just go ahead and change your major? And so that's what I've done. And I started off at Head Start. I did Head Start for 9 years. And then once I completed my bachelor's at Texas Southern University here in Houston, I decided I decided to go ahead and go into one of the largest school districts here in Houston, which was HISD. I stayed there for 5 years, and then I had the chance to meet Sarita Coleman Presley, and she hired me in Alvin ISD. I was there for 7 years, and now I'm going to venture over to Fort Bend ISD and work with the wonderful Dr. Charles Dupree, and I'm so excited.
We're excited for you. We're excited for you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes. Yes. And LaBrandon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm going to start with, I graduated from the Grambling State University, the college where everybody is somebody.
Hey, we always see you up in here.
Listen, we got to represent. I've been in education for 15 years. I started off as a 5th grade English teacher, kind of matriculated my way through the systems. I think I've done a little bit of everything but been a principal. I used to be an assistant principal. I hated every minute of it, so I got back out and I work in curriculum. Currently, I work for the Houston Independent School District. I work for the Chief 180 office, where I service my school in the area of helping the ELA department and just kind of managing those teachers with kind of like, teaching strategies, instructional strategies and different processes, helping them with lesson plans and things like that, just to kind of help the school grow. The school one of the schools I currently serve was in IR, and we have now been out for 3 years. And so, so much success. So yeah, so that's how that's working.
I love it. Congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I have been friends since 1993.
Awesome. We all go way back with her. Yeah. So Sarita, and forgive me, Ralph, shout out to you because I know I didn't say Presley. That's my friend as well. I love you, Ralph. Sarita Coleman Presley. Yes. So a beautiful spirit, beautiful person. And she spoke of both of you, and I see it as well. So thank you all again for bringing me on the show. Definitely. How are y'all doing? Let's start with that question. How are you all doing?
Let's say I'm very nervous. I had to go and get my new ID badge today, and just to go through the whole protocol of entering the building was a little scary for me. I've gone to the doctor and had my temperature taken. That was no problem, but I was entering the doctor's office. But for me to just go and show them my ID, to show them my social security card and my ID card and take a picture, that was a little much for me. And I got really nervous when I started to think about me entering a school. And I just entered an annex building for the district today. And so I'm a little nervous, to say the least.
Right. And for me, I would have to say, so I'm one of the people who suffer with one of the symptoms that kind of contributes to the coronavirus being kind of extending it a little bit more, because I suffer with asthma, right? So that is one of my biggest concerns, is that, I have an asthma attack. It attaches itself to my lungs, and then I'm struggling trying to breathe, trying to meet the needs of teachers and students on the campus. So it's made me very aware of the things that I do. It's made me very aware, but even though I have that awareness, there is still that shucks, I'm just scared. That sense of being afraid, of the what ifs. I was sick from November to January, probably like January 5th. And they told me it wasn't pneumonia, wasn't bronchitis, it wasn't all these other things. And then here it comes in January, we're hearing about, this big spread of coronavirus. So if that's anything, if my experience was what that was, and it comes back, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yeah. Right. I definitely get that. I've actually had about 3 friends with a similar journey as you, LaBrandon. Were sick around November, December, thought it was a bad flu. And then knowing more about coronavirus, and then understanding that, yeah, this could have been what it is, and actually positive for the antibody. So, so fear, afraid, scared. I mean, these are justifiable words, right? And so, as administrators, teachers, let's talk about staff and students, right? What are your thoughts about, and Letitia, I can start with you, because what grade do you teach, Letitia?
I'm going to be teaching pre-K this year. Yes.
The nasty kids.
Yes.
We love them. We love them.
I love them.
Jeremy. Yes.
Yes, my nose running.
I just love them all.
Yes. I'm concerned about them touching surfaces and not each other.
Right.
And so I think like my main concern with teaching pre-K this year, when the kids arrive at school, once they finally get back, they're going to cry. They've never been away from mom and dad. They've never been away from grandmother, whoever. They're going to cry. You're going to have to console them in some kind of way. And how is that going to look? First of all, we're going to have on masks. I'm going to have to send them a picture of what I look like without my mask and what I look like with my mask, so they won't be afraid. It's just going to be a challenge. And like when they cry, I'm going to help. I have to help them wipe their faces, wipe their noses. How many pair of gloves am I going to go through in a day? Because you have to change them out after you touch a kid, right? Then I'm just thinking about even helping them in the restroom. Even though one of the requirements is for them to be potty trained, we all know that they have accidents from time to time. Also, what about those kids that just randomly come up to you and sneeze and cough on you? Or the ones that come up to you, oh, I don't feel well. And then all of a sudden, you know what happens next. And those are my real concerns. Like they're real health issue concerns. Like I'm just really nervous. Like I feel like we're all going to get it, because when I look back on this past school year, right before spring break, I had about 4 kids out for about 3 or 4 days straight. No one could say what they had exactly. Mom just kept saying, oh, it's an upper respiratory infection, but we're really not for sure. They said it was a virus. We're just going to have to let it run its course. And I'm like, okay. And then the teachers started to get sick all like the week before spring break. And then once everything came out, we were like, we bet those kids had corona, or we bet those teachers had corona. And so now we're all just kind of like worried.
Exactly. So, have you been given any advice on how to manage the children and how to make sure that they stay 6 feet away from each other? Is everyone required to wear a mask?
Well, in my district, I've been watching the board meetings. We've been having like about 2 a week in my new school district on Mondays and Wednesdays. And this past Wednesday, they went ahead and decided that only the staff was returning back to work. But then another concern came up was, okay, well, what are we going to do with the staff kids that are still in school? Okay, so that was one thing. But the one thing that they did say that we will have masks and face shields provided by the district. And so I'm really excited about that, because again, teaching pre-K, how am I going to teach you proper letter sounds if you can't see my mouth? So, so I was really excited about that. But they are also going to go through and measure out all of the classrooms to tell you exactly how many children and how many children and how many teachers can be in that room. Because my school is a very special school. I'm at an early literacy center. So you have 2 certified teachers in each classroom. So they're going to try to figure out, okay, so what's going to happen next? You know, like maybe only this classroom can hold 8 kids and 2 teachers, or maybe only 7 kids and 1 teacher. And so I really appreciate the work that they're putting into it just to try to keep us safe.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think about preschoolers, and I think about, like you're saying, a lot of hands-on learning, right? They learn like that. I also think about just getting the focus off of you seeing you wearing a mask, and like you're saying, learning, actual just learning, just learning. And so, you know, my thoughts go there into a place where it should be safe, it should be conducible. And of course, I'm just speaking just in general about this being a surreal, you know, type of experience. Just because, you know, the logistics. Yeah, we're thinking about logistics, but we're just thinking about just the simplicity of just the kids going and just being able to just relax and take in information. So, like, Brandon, what are your thoughts about the flip side about homeschooling in terms of hybrids or just homeschooling? And if that were to continue, if parents made that decision to continue with their homeschooling, and you can start with an example of what your school is doing.
Okay, so what the school district that I'm currently in, what they're doing is they have partnered with companies that are providing us with extra laptops to give the kids, right, so that the kids can have the opportunity to be successful. But one of the things that we're not thinking about when we're talking about homeschool is I can give you a laptop all day long, right? What if I don't have internet at home, right? Because, we pay for internet service on our phone. Hotspots only last for so long. You run out of data. These kids are playing all these games on their phone, so the data's running out quickly. So now we've given you the tool to be successful, but we've missed that one part, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're thinking about that. What do we do to make sure that these parents are aware or doing what they need to do to get on? So in HISD, one of the things you can do is if you get a laptop, if you want to go to one of the local schools, you can go on there and log on. But the dynamic or the issue that comes up with that is if my mother is at school and I'm in the third grade, right, I'm going to now have to walk to the school to be able to log on to the computer. So there are some dynamics that are real, that are missing, that I don't feel like everybody, and not just my district, everybody has really thought about, right? And then so let's take it away from now we've given them the tools, we've told them where the hotspots are. Okay, well now I'm a parent who has to go to work, right? I have to go to work because if I don't go to work, I'm a single mother. I have 3 kids at home. I have to pay the rent. I have to pay the bills. I have to pay the car note, right? I have to feed the kids. So now I have to leave the kids at home to get the work done. How do I expect a 4th grader to stay at home all day and really, truly get the work done that is what expected of them, right? Attention spans. I'm 42. My attention span is gone in about 20 minutes and I'm an adult, right? So if you think about that translating over to a child, the children are probably going to have even lesser of an attention span. So now, are they truly getting the learning that they need without the parents being present, right?
Right.
Let's go back to something else that we don't think about. We provided laptops. How many parents know how to use the laptop? How many parents know how to navigate through the laptop to say it's more than just cutting it on, right? I need to turn in a Word document. Well, and nothing against people who work at McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's, but let's say Whataburger, right? Because I eat over there, right? All I do is cook food all day. Like I don't have to touch the register. I don't have to, you know what I'm saying, do these things like that. So I don't know how to work this laptop. So now my child has a laptop. My child is struggling. I'm struggling. All of these dynamics play a part into effectively getting the children educated from home. So I think that school districts need to look at, I'm just going to say, visit some of the universities, right? Universities have this distance learning thing down pat. I'm getting my doctorate online, right? I got my MBA online, right? It drove me crazy, but they have it down pat. I know when stuff is due. I know how to contact what I need to do. I know how to pull up the examples that I need to do. I know how to eat. They have it down pat. Teach K-12, whatever the name of the school is, you know what I'm talking about. K-12 learning, K-12 learning. Right? They have it down pat. It is an accredited school where all of your learning can be done online effectively with teachers. Why haven't we reached out and paid consultants from these places to come in and provide this level of training for teachers, right? So that they can be successful. And so, like I said, it's so many things that I feel like we are underprepared for to fully service the kids because we weren't prepared for this, right? Teachers weren't prepared. Administrators weren't prepared. 45 wasn't prepared. But that's a whole other show, right? 44 plus 1, he wasn't prepared. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So, and when you have someone who doesn't have an academic focus or an academic background, or your Secretary of Education is an idiot, and they're just telling people what to do based on a whim because your children are in private school. Right. So they don't have to go back and worry about the stuff that my kids are having to focus on in the hood. Right. They're going to schools where everything is going to be given to them in a book, in a pamphlet. You're going to pay for the grades that they're going to receive. Right. Because that's what you're paying tuition for. So you're making decisions based upon your needs, not the needs of every child. And that's where the struggle is coming in.
And I think, yes, and you're exactly right. I think that's a very good point. And so are we thinking about all of our kids when we're considering the district? Like, I think the society is like 950,000 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Are we thinking about everyone's background situation, their social situation, when we're, trying to figure out the logistics of these? I mean, are we thinking about how they're getting to school? The school buses? I mean, I heard one district said that they're just going to let down the windows and sit every other seat. That's it. That was all the protocol. That was it. And then even for the kids that stay at home, I mean, I'm concerned about the kids as well, because we have to think about the kids. So some kids are safe at school, so they're ready to go back. Some kids basically are a part of the free lunch program at school, so they're ready to go back. Some kids just want to see their friends and learn because they enjoy school. So I mean, all of those things are very important, because if I see my friend I've seen in a while, I may forget the 6 feet rule. I mean, these are kids. And I'm an adult, and I'm like that. So that's why I stay in the house, because I'm very social. So I mean, thinking about and if we're playing baseball right now with the empty stadium, why are we going back to school with? So there's just so many kind of questions that are going through my mind when it comes to these things that we haven't dealt already with the community that we should be, hopefully before dealing with school system.
Well, Dr. Dawn, I don't know if you saw this meme that was on Facebook a few days ago, but it basically said, so the president thought that the virus was so bad that he had to release criminals back into society, but yet we want to put our children back into school, right? So what is that saying about how you feel about your country's children, right? You're willing to put, now I know we didn't put murderers back on the street. I get that piece, but you've been selected by a jury of your peers to say that you need some time to reorganize your thoughts, right? And so now they're out there living their life, living their best life, you know what I'm saying? But you're going to send these kids back to school to be afraid for their lives, all behind a mighty dollar, right? Because everything that we're doing right now is about money. Right. And so school districts are losing money. That's just the reality of it. School districts are losing money. And because they're losing money, they're like, okay, well, we have to do something, because true enough, if we don't have pay, if we don't have the money, the teachers won't get paid. Right. Which means that if the teachers don't get paid, you don't have anybody to serve as kids, because I'm not working for free. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. But at the end of the day, you still have to be able to put things in place that require you to be safe. You know what I mean? And if you're saying that a criminal's life is more important than a child's life, then we need to really get out there and make sure that we're voting in November, and paying attention to what's going on and paying attention to what's being said. Don't let those stimulus checks, that $1,200 that you got, $40 a day, that's what that equated to. Don't let that be the judgment process for you to say, I'm going to keep this person in office.
You better say
not that. I'm sorry. And not only vote like for the president, but let's talk about these local and school board members, because those are the ones that are making these decisions. And those are the ones I'm looking at every day. Like, really? But your kid is right along my kid. Like, do you really feel this way?
Right.
So,
and think about it. How many of our school board members actually have academic backgrounds? How many of our school board members actually were teachers, were principals, were librarians, right? There are people in the community who want to make a difference, but sometimes we're not knowledgeable enough to make the correct decisions, right? And so that is very impactful. Local elections are much more important to me than national elections, right? Because they govern what's happening right now. And we have to make sure that we're considering that, right? Because my colleague to my right said, she's watching her Zoom meetings, she's watching her meetings on Zoom, right? Y'all meeting on Zoom, homeboys and homegirls. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not going up meeting face to face. You know what I'm saying? Y'all like, ain't nobody coughing on me, but you're about to send these kids and these teachers, you know what I'm saying, back to school. We have to start thinking our way through these things and making decisions that will benefit everybody to the best, not, just to make a mighty dollar.
And did you also hear that TEA is not working at the physical location? They're all working
They're at home.
From home.
At the house. Wow. They're at the house. Everybody is at the house. Listen, not everybody.
Me to go in and sacrifice my life.
Correct. Everybody at the house.
Over somebody else's kids. Not my kid, but someone else's kids.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So who's at the school?
Teachers.
Custodial staff. Secretaries.
The principals are there. The instructional coordinators are there.
Probably about it, because everyone else can do their job from virtually. Like they can tutor students virtually, they can tutor students virtually, they can counsel students virtually.
Correct. So, right. And that goes back to Dr. Dawn, that goes back to the training that we're getting ready to put in place, right? So because we weren't prepared for this, districts are going to say, okay, we're going to bring you back 2 weeks early and we're going to jam pack all this information in your heads, right? And then when we're jam packing this information in your head, we're going to expect for you to remember how to do all of this on top of planning for instruction that you've never planned for instruction for, right? Meeting the needs of kids, right? How you gonna get? I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get my principals to get the teachers to give the kids resources, right? Because because those kind of things, like when I'm working with the principals, we have to have those kind of conversations at this point. Because how am I going to get the principal that I'm working with to deliver resources on a program that teachers aren't really aware about? Right. And my colleague to the right, how do you feel about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to throw you under the bus. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, in March, I felt like that because like I said, I was teaching third grade. I had to go from teaching face to face to teaching remotely within a couple of days. So that meant that I gave up days of my spring break because we heard during spring break, we were not returning to school the following week. So they were like, oh, get ready for remote learning. So that meant I had to go on and learn Google Classroom. Thank goodness I had already started doing some things over the computer with my kids. But it was just like I was up every night trying to just get everything in place. But actually, and like when we started back with the kids remotely, I was an IT person. I was a counselor. I was a motivator. I was all of those things. Because the parents were like, I don't understand. He doesn't know his password. I'm like, OMG. Tell him it is the same thing as Imagine Math. What I mean, and everything was the same, but even some kids were like, I don't know. I'm like, oh no, put them on the phone. They do know, or whatever. So it was crazy. And so I just can't, I don't know.
Me no know.
We don't know. We must know how this is just a mess. This is a mess. It's a big mess. And I specialize in ADHD, so most of my kids they excel during the summer because they had someone at home to stay on them or at their own pace. I actually had some of them do gaming in the morning just to get their minds woke, and then they were actually starting class at 10. And a lot of these classes weren't live. They were, as you go, and then the assignments given to you in the beginning of the week, and here you go at the end of the week. And sometimes the teacher will come in between. But the parents were home. Home.
Right. And that makes the
home, so this is a big one.
That makes the world of a difference. As a parent, right? When my son was doing, now granted, some of that stuff they doing, this new math and all this stuff, I can't do that. 4 times 4 was what at 16 all day long, but now you got to draw lines. I can't do all of that.
You need arrays. You need all of that. Yeah.
Listen, my goddaughter in 2nd grade, her mom sent me the math problem. I couldn't figure out. She couldn't figure out. The father couldn't figure out. I mean, it's 2nd grade.
Right. And that goes back to the remote learning piece that we struggle with, right? Back in the day, and I'm not talking about all parents, but I mean, I think you guys can probably attest to this with me. Your parents were aware of being able to at least do the basics to get you through, right? Even if they got home at 8 o'clock at night from work, they said, I'm here with you. You're going to get this work done. Right. Parenting is not the same anymore, right? Parents are having 2-3 jobs. They're tired. The kids are raising themselves. They just want to go home and go to sleep. They're expecting for the teachers to do all of the work, right? And so because they're expecting for the teachers to do all of the work, there's a disconnect with them engaging in the learning. So now that we're going to give them remote learning and being able to self-start and do those kinds of things like that, what is it going to look like for those parents who are struggling, right? Because you're going to have teachers that are going to say, okay, well, you know what? I've taught your child from 8 to 4:15. Now I still got to do work with my own child to get that. You know what I'm saying? So, they're going to, and really speaking, they're going to say, well, listen, I can't help you right now. I've done my part for the day. So now what kind of things are going to be in place to make sure that the parents are able to help those children be successful, right? What are we going to do as teachers? What are we going to do as administrators or as school districts to say, other than we're going to send you a packet to show you how to work through this? What kind of online training are we giving to the parents, right? Because we talk a lot about the kids, right? We don't talk a lot about the teachers. We don't talk a lot about the parents, right? We don't talk a lot about the grandparents. We don't talk a lot about the bus drivers, right? We don't talk a lot about the custodians. Like every piece of a school system is important. And without that village, something is going to miss. And so I think that we need to just look at some of those pieces.
I completely agree. And let's talk about those single parents out there who need to work and they have more than 3 kids at home that are under the age of 11, 12, or different ages. It doesn't even matter. Because at this point, like you're saying, LaBrandon, a lot of these kids are coming home and they're doing the work themselves because mom has to work. And so they're really not thinking about the supportive systems that they, that families can take advantage of or be provided for. They're not even thoughts. And so the populations I think about are missing out are these that we're identifying. And so at the end of the day, how well are the kids going to do? How well are we going to do? There is a question. Is standardized testing still a requirement this upcoming school year?
It is. Look. How the
kids y'all mature defense, but this is for real.
It's retarded. So standardized testing is a joke. In my opinion, I'm not a good test taker. But me taking a test and passing a test does not demonstrate how versed I am in a subject area, right? I just did the work to pass the test. You have to realize the stressors of what's going on with everything compiling on with tests, right? Testing is a stressor for kids, right? Testing is a stressor for teachers. So now we're going to stress them out with returning back to school. We're going to stress them out with procedures and processes. We're going to stress them out every time somebody sneezes, everybody in the room going to say coronavirus. You're going to stress them out, you know what I'm saying, with, we didn't ran out of sanitizer. We're going to stress them out because, you know what I'm saying, all these different stresses. And then to top it off, we're going to add state testing. And so when the state testing doesn't go well, TA is going to be in everybody's building because now all the schools are Fs and nobody's performing up to standard. Principals aren't good instructional leaders. Let's revamp. But you guys have only thought about one thing, and that's making the money off of the test. Do you know how much Pearson makes off of running tests for the state of Texas?
Isn't it about 9 million?
Let's probably bump that up. Right? And because you think about it like this, you have every grade level from third grade to 11th grade, they take a test, right? If there are 1,000 ninth graders at every school in Texas and there are 50,000 high schools, you do the math for just that one test. You understand what I'm saying? And then let's not talk about if they failed the test, they have to retake it. You see what I'm saying?
They have up to 3 times to pass the test? I think
three times to pass the test, yes. Mm-hmm. So it's a money making thing, right? Now I will share this. Parents, know your rights when it comes down to testing. I won't get into too many details because I like every other Wednesday, but I need for you. But I need for you, if you're watching this, know your rights when it comes to testing, because you as parents do have rights. And a lot of times parents don't know that they have these rights, right? But feel free to Google your rights as a parent when it comes down to standardized testing in Texas. You will get a whole bunch of insight to things that you'll be like, oh, well, I never knew, right? And I'm going to leave that blurb right there.
Exactly. I love understood.org. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with this website.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Awesome website. It actually talks about parental rights. It talks about, it actually does a lot for you. So it actually creates templates for you, check off lists for you to talk to the teacher about. It tells you which state, which grade applies to your situation, your child's situation, your situation as a parent. It has the accommodations in there, the IEP information in there. So understood.org is like a one-stop shop that talks, the needs and support systems for kids, and also talks about emotional support, especially at a time like this. They have articles for experts about coronavirus, how to protect your child as much as you can. So definitely you all look up that understood.org. Wow. So let's talk about the flip side then, because again, a lot of this, we understand the financial basis to this, of course, and the pressures about getting kids back into school, in homeschooling. So one of the things that, because I'm trying to find solutions, right? Thinking about solutions. And so for of course, this is apply to families who may have like someone at home that could actually be with the kids, right? This applies to families that actually need the support system in order for their children to stay in school and learn and not miss out in a year. What are your thoughts about just maybe going back to those retired teachers or teaming up with AARP or, just trying to find some organizations that could assist, neighborhoods, communities with getting their kids, help, like tutors, for example, retired.
I was going to say, about a day or two ago, I went on my Nextdoor Neighbor app, and it was actually a teacher in there asking how many people would be interested in her assisting their children with the online learning. I thought that was a wonderful idea. I'm like, I could do it, but I'm like, okay, but I thought that was a wonderful idea. So her plan is to just kind of travel around the neighborhood and assist children all day long with distance learning. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I should have thought of that.
But I mean, we need to pull out all stops at this, because this is about our children. This is about the safety and health of our children.
Correct.
This is our children. This is we're putting livelihood over lives here. And yes, kids get coronavirus, and kids have died from coronavirus. And when I think about Houston, I think about Texas in general and the southern states. I think about asthma. I think about upper respiratory conditions. In hindsight, I should have a pediatrician on here. All the risk factors that, kids are exposed to just being themselves. And no, coronavirus, this is a different virus. It's not going away in the summer, and there will be another strand that comes in the fall. Another wave, with different variants potentially. I don't, who knows? We don't
flu
know.
And strep. Yeah, because I think about flu and strep because around Halloween it comes. I'm like, it's just something that happens in elementary schools. You're gonna have kids sick.
And that's a good point, because you're right. It's not just about coronavirus. It's about the other things that these kids get sick to anyway. And then we think about the flip side of this as well. Kids actually build immune systems when they are around these type of illnesses as well.
Right.
So, this is just an interesting situation. It really is.
Right.
Wow.
And we also have to take into account. So, some of the school districts are saying that when they go back, teachers will change classes and not the kids. Right.
Right.
I'm trying to imagine first graders sitting in the same room all day long. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to figure out how that's going to work. But even when you talk about children not changing classes and teachers not, but the teachers get sick, right? So if you're at the middle school level, a teacher gets sick. A middle school English teacher will see roughly about 150 kids a day, right? If that one teacher transitions into, let's just say 5 different classes, right? And that teacher is sick. So now he or she has affected 150 children. But now the teacher that transitioned into that room after that teacher has also now been exposed. So now that teacher has is now contracted, but they've touched another 150 students because now they had to go to English, math, science, or social studies. So eventually everybody in the building will have to be home 14 days because you were exposed to it, right? And so how fair is that to the teachers? How fair is that to the children? Now, some of the children will be like, okay, well, I'm good with it. I'm going home for 14 days. Nothing's wrong with me. But then we're still missing out on 14 days of instruction, because if you're sending me home because I'm sick, I know doggone well you're not going to expect for me to continue to deliver instruction when you told me that I wasn't well enough to stay at school to deliver instruction, right? So the kids are still going to miss out, because if that happens twice, if that happens 3 times, we've now missed doggone near 6 weeks of school, right, of instruction.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Especially in Houston, if it happens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm just worried about the people who may not have integrity, or those teachers that may not be honest, that don't have enough days. Let's say if you were out on FMLA last year and you're coming into the school year with no days, what's going to happen? Are you going to still come in? Because I've heard of places of employment where people were still coming to work when they've tested positive for the virus. And I worry about that, because I'm like, oh, wow, I don't, and then like, what about the parents that send their kids to school? Those parents, oh, you can make it to lunchtime because mom got to go to work today. So they give them Tylenol in the morning, but by 11:30, 12 o'clock, it's worn off. The fever is back, and now we're all infected. Those are the things that I'm really, really worried about.
This situation reminds me when I was in middle school. It was just a class that I had where we would have just moralistic questions like this, like what would you do? And this is just surreal. I mean, I always think about the safety always comes first in my mind, but I understand the economy. I understand that. I get it. I understand that. But it's the safety of everyone that's involved around that school and at home, because we come back home every day. So it's the community.
Right.
If we have a community, like you're saying, both of you are saying, actually, if we don't have this controlled in our community, this is not going to be controlled in the schools. It's going to get worse.
Right.
It's going to get worse.
And then you have to think about this, right? So I'm thinking about, okay, I have a religious belief that prevents me from wearing a mask, right? So now what, right? Or let's talk about the special needs kids who aren't able to breathe in those masks. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things like that. But you're basically saying that these things need to happen. So how do you keep a kindergartner all day in a mask? You know what I'm saying? With them trying to make, because kindergartners, as babies, they're taking off shoes, socks, because they hot. You know what I'm saying? They're not allowed to keep those things on.
Right.
But a guest of another show mentioned last night, parents, that you need to start practicing with the kids at home, right? Making sure that they're wearing those masks, because wearing it 45 minutes at Walmart is not the same as wearing it 8 hours a day in class, right? And so part of the success with that, based upon what a colleague of mine said, was that making sure that they are practicing wearing it 5 to 6 hours. No, you can't take it off, because routines are what kids need. Right. And so you as the parent have to start ensuring that you are setting your children up to be successful, right? Practice, what does washing your hands look like in public, right? Going over it, showing me, routinely, right? Because I don't know if kids will be able to bring their own hand sanitizer because of the alcohol levels in the hand sanitizer. So, there are different dynamics with that. Will that rule change? So, we just have to be very mindful as parents of what we're going to do to make sure that the safety of our kids are on top of the list.
And not only practicing wearing the mask, practice opening up your own milk. Practice opening up your juice, your lunch kits, tying your shoes. All of those things are going to come into play because that's going to decrease the contact that I have to make with you. So if they even knew how to open their own glue sticks, I mean, let them be independent. Like, oh my gosh, help us out.
I mean, for real. I'm just like, I don't know, y'all.
Well, Dr. Dawn and Leticia, it's tough, right? We're in a tough situation, right? As Americans, we're not used to living like this, right?
Exactly.
A friend of mine said we're in a third world country wearing Gucci masks, right? And when you think about it, that
I can't find on their website.
Correct. You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it, right? You can get your fake one, but you're not gonna get the real one, right? So because as a country, we're not used to this. We don't know how to put plans in place for these kinds of things, right? And so what we also have to realize is everything is changing daily. Today, it's like this. Tomorrow, it's going to be another way. The day after that. So there's nothing consistent that we can do other than to plan for the plan for the plan. You have to have a plan A through Z, right? To make sure that everything that you touch all levels when it comes down to returning these kids to school, right? Parents coming into the building. How you gonna tell me that I can't come into the building to check out my child, right? Emergency situations to where, what if there's a bomb threat? What does that look like? You understand?
What does lockdown drill look like?
Yeah. Fire drill. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have these kids, you're going to basically say, okay, well, the teachers are going to change class. We haven't had a fire drill. A fire breaks out. Now what? You understand what I'm saying? Somebody comes into the building with a gun. Now what? Right? The restroom, like the city went out of water. You remember last year the city went out of water because it flooded. So what does that look like? You understand what I'm saying? Like it's so many different. What does lunch look like?
Right.
You know
in the classrooms, from what I'm hearing.
And then you go in the band and you're blowing on these instruments, right? What is what is that?
No.
But these are you have to talk. We got to talk about it. And we're not trying, the point of this conversation, just reminding everyone, if in case you tune in late, or even if you're here and you're starting to feel a little anxiety, because I'm a psychiatrist, so I feel you all. They may feel a little anxious because there aren't all of these things have not been considered. All of these things have not been discussed. They need to, and you need to start with safety measures, like you're saying, bombs, guns. Health. You need to start there first because you got that's the priority. We're not even talking about education yet. We're just trying.
We're trying to keep them safe.
So we can't even get to the education because this is not understood how this is going to be organized. The logistics of their safety has not been organized. And you're right, Leticia. I'm concerned about those who are not, who the community that's just not in their right mind. And I'm not talking about mental illness because most mental illness is 3% commit violent crimes, things like that. I'm talking about people just not in their right minds that are going to, you know what I'm saying? You have to talk about it because you got to have a plan. You have to have a contingency plan when it comes to anyone's safety, period. And I just, and then, with the leadership roles, it concerns me because I feel that pediatricians should be involved. I feel that infectious disease, public health administrators, they should definitely be involved. This is all they study. They know, you know what I'm saying? If anyone can assist the states, it should definitely be public health officials. So,
well, one of the questions that I have is that how many people have actually checked on the mental health of kids, right? These children have been through so much in 2020. 2020 has been, 2020 didn't put it on us, right? Like, I always say like this.
Hey, 2020 plenty. I'm telling you.
Right. Listen, I don't know. Listen, I don't ever want to see a 20 or a 20 ever.
No.
But you think about it, our children have been through so much. Okay, so the country period, we lost Kobe, right? We have coronavirus. We had the Hornets. We have the George Floyd. We have so many things that has happened in a 6-month period. Mentally, are the kids ready to return?
Right.
What's interesting when I see the kids, because that's what I do, right? And so a lot of these kids, they're actually not. They're not phased. Majority of my kids are not phased.
I was just gonna say that. I have a talk to Taylor. Mm-hmm. I have a talk to Taylor, and when I talk to my babies, I talk to them every Tuesday and Thursday at 2. When I talk to them, they were fine. They just kind of like roll with it. It's like kids adapt so well to change.
That's interesting. Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But they are 8 and 9 years old. So, but on the other hand, my senior that graduated this year, oh yeah, we went through some things. We're still going through some things because he was not able to experience his senior school year.
Right.
He's my only kid. He's like, yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I'm ready to get away from you. But guess what? Things have changed. You're not as grown as you thought you were going to be because of Corona. You didn't, it's just been a lot. But I can say for the younger kids, they're like, oh, okay. So what's next? I'm like, okay. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Right. Okay.
They're not phased. So a lot of my kids right now, they're ready to go back to school and they're not even thinking twice. So what does that say? Make our parents, excuse me. Hold on.
Are we paused?
I think we're still live.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can continue the conversation,
Yes.
But I think you hit some very valuable points. It's interesting that the kids are not being fazed by what's going on. Because for me, it's just kind of like, well, what I'm always thinking, what's next, right? We had some in January, we had some in February, we had some March, April, May, June, right?
Right.
What is
do an example of what may happen at home. Sorry about that.
But you prepared. See, you know what to do. See, these parents, they might not know what to do, right?
Yes.
But I think that's a very interesting concept to have because see, like my son, he was like, Dad, I want to go back to school because I miss my friends. I want to hang out. But he said, but on the same token, we have so much going on. I don't know if I want to put myself in that predicament. You know what I'm saying? Because I only have one life. He told me the other day, he was like, it's so much more that I want to do. And I don't want to live in fear of being able of not being able to accomplish the things. And that was deep. And he's 15. Right, that was pretty deep coming from a 15-year-old, So it's kind of interesting, to see the different perspectives of children.
Right, definitely. So let's talk about a little bit about the teacher's perspective. How do you foresee teachers being able to deal with this? When you're thinking about a situation where, like Letitia, I mean, how you, like you're saying at the end of this spring semester. You had to kind of interestingly pivot to virtual, had to learn all those things, right? You're coming into now a new school year. How would you foresee if things were to happen where you can't really control the classroom of all your kids? Are there going to be administrators there to help? Are there pros? Are there other teachers, substitute teachers in the lineup? Are these things being discussed as well? Because the concern, again, you always want to be prepared because if the teacher's not there, then who's going to teach? And so I'm just wondering, has that been discussed within your district?
We talked about it. Yes. Well, we talked about it as a pre-K team yesterday. But in my school district, and I guess in my current school district, there's like a shortage of subs. Sometimes in the schools where the kids are a little bit more challenging, you don't have subs. And so you basically had to maybe split children equally amongst the rest of the team. just to put it politely. This is crazy. Yeah, but I guess like if challenges come up, you have to kind of depend on your teachers. It was a meme going around a couple of months ago, like the best PD, professional development, is from the teacher down the hallway. And that's what we do. We rely and we learn from each other. We always say, oh, I'm stealing that from you. But that's how we learn. It's like you just have to depend on your coworkers. I mean, I had to teach 3 different sessions this summer because one of my coworkers was like, he had like a heart attack or something. And I had to bring his bilingual class into my Google Classroom. We just made it work. And as teachers, sometimes you take on challenges, a lot of challenges, and you just kind of roll with it. You just have to do it.
And that was my actually part B to this, because you're actually going to continue to be the teacher, the mental health person, the
counselor, the IT.
Yes, all of those things from a distance. I mean, this is
right.
Now I'm going to have 4-year-olds this year instead of 8-year-olds.
Right. Who need the touch? Who need the nourishment? Who need to, that's yes. Right. I know Rona's on here saying that she's a sub, and I'm hesitant about going back at this point. And I know there are a lot of people that feel like Rona. I mean, at what point do you start to believe, am I putting my health at risk? Am I putting my family's health at risk? Is this just too much because it's disorganized, or it's not organized well enough where I feel safe to go back in with this job? We need to,
teacher is sick. Do you honestly want to come in my room and sub for me? And I was sick.
Right. And that's very good, and that's why I'm saying there has to be a plan for the plan for the plan, right? So as a former building leader, the one thing that we were always good at was when we sat down, we would always, okay, this is plan A. Okay, but plan A may not work. What are we going to do for plan B? Plan B may not work. What are we going to do for plan C? You have to be very detailed in making sure that those plans are, number one, thought out thoroughly, but then you have to practice those plans so that they can be executed properly, right? Because when we don't plan, we plan to fail. But the biggest thing that we do is we make these plans, and then we hold all the information expecting for the plan to go through correctly, right? Just like with children, you have to practice the plan with adults, right? You have to say, okay, you know what? We didn't anticipate this, but the only way we'd have found it out was because we went through and we practiced it. And then, so you're talking about now a group of, me as an academic leader, assistant principals as an academic leader, instructional coaches as academic leaders. But now you're talking about including a full staff of maybe 100 people. So now you have more people helping you through the thought process, because you were trying to get this done by a deadline, but now they're thinking about something that you may not even consider, right? And so you can't be afraid to speak your mind. You can't be afraid to give those suggestions. You can't be afraid to say, okay, you know what, I think this may work better, because you're talking about your life, right? We're making plans. A lot of times we're saying we're making plans for other people, but we're making plans based upon how we feel in that moment. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not fair to the staff. So now you need to distribute that information to the staff and let them be viable players in this, because their lives are being affected too.
Amen. This is the time where parents and teachers really need to come together, and have the plan of just communicating, schedule the communications back and forth. Because there's just not many answers that are viable answers for these type of situations. It's just not all in one. There's just going to be so many things, and it's going to be dependent on everyone's need that, these decisions need to be made. You're exactly right. Do you have decisions about the education right now? Or if you could make decisions about teaching, and I know we talked a little bit about this off screen, but, just like homeschool or like any decisions on how to educate our children, what were your any suggestions that you all will offer?
I would suggest teachers teaching from home, just because of the safety reasons right now. I do know we are going back into the classroom, and they said they wanted us to have access to all of our materials. But if you know teachers, we're pack rats. I have a whole classroom here. So I can easily teach from home, but maybe some people cannot. And so I would say continue to teach online and to utilize all of those online programs that the districts pay for. They pay for them all, like STEM Scopes. What is the other one? Imagine Math, Imagine Learning. Use those tools, and then that way your kids won't miss out, you know?
Right. If I had to make a suggestion, the thing that I would say would be we need to start school in October. And just take that slap on the wrist and just go from October to July, so that teachers could get the proper training that they need in order to be successful with delivery of to deliver instruction. Right? We always want what's best for our children. I know I want my son's teachers to be able to provide him with the best education, but can I truly hold that teacher accountable for delivering the best instruction when, as an educator, I know they haven't been properly trained to do so? Yes, they know the content, but knowing the content and being able to deliver it over a new platform, especially when I've been teaching for 10 years face-to-face and knowing how to manipulate things and do those kind of things, it's going to be rather difficult. So I just really think that we should just push school back and give the teachers the time to learn what they need to do to be able to deliver the instruction electronically. But they didn't ask me. They didn't ask me though. They didn't ask me. Ain't nobody asked me nothing.
I think those are both of them, very good points. Very, very good points, solid points. Yes. And both are considering safety as a priority for everyone.
Manslows come first. Manslows before Blooms. I have said it time and time again. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You all, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
This evening. I really appreciate you both. Seriously. And listen, I'm praying with both of you. We appreciate what you all are doing. We appreciate your service to the children of our communities. Any roles that you have within the school districts, you know, because I know you're not just teachers, okay? You wear multiple hats. And, you know, a lot of kids look up to you all as well. So, you know, thank you so much for all the things that you all are doing. You at the front end of this program, you had mentioned, you know, just not knowing, just fear and some of the anxieties. And those, we want to just be front. I mean, those are natural feelings to have in degrees of disorganization or uncertainty, you know, not really understanding the full picture, not having developed plans. And, you know, I think that what it's really going to take is things like this and talking to each other and to come together seriously, you know, with teachers, parents, everyone just come together and, you know, develop your own plan at this point, to make sure that everyone is safe when we go forward. So thank you. Is there any last comments you all would like to make to the audience?
Mask up and wash those hands.
Yes.
Parents, if you have any viewers, I'm sorry, not just parents, but viewers, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My Instagram name is listed below, Mr._Dr._LB, or you can reach me on Facebook at LB Jenkins, just like that right here, LB and then Jenkins. Please feel free to ask any questions. I will be more than happy to help you or guide you to somebody that can get you the answers that you need.
Awesome. Letitia, LeBrandon, thank you so much. Awesome job, you all. Thank you so much for having this wonderful conversation with us. And everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions, your participation. Make sure you share this with everyone you know, because we're bringing legitimate questions that need to be answered and have a plan to them. So you all have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, mask up, practice physical distancing, and enjoy. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I got no rules, I count them.
Hi, I'm Dr. Celeste, your board-certified family medicine physician specializing in urgent care. We are doing drive-through rapid antibody testing for COVID-19 with follow-up PCR testing when needed. We're doing this at the office of Dr. Corey Hartman, Skin Wellness Centers of Alabama, 1920 Huntington Road, 35209. We're doing this Monday, Thursdays, and Fridays from 8 until 12. It's $125 for the assessment as well as the test with Dr. Celeste. Contact us for an appointment at drcelestec19.com. Thank you.